Hey guys, welcome back to RHR Jen. I'm sorry, General Counsel. I'm so glad you're here. You have caught me on such a good day. This is the second part of my sit down with John Witherspoon, attorney from DC. He's wonderful, isn't he? If you didn't see the first part, go watch that. That went up yesterday. And don't tell him I said that because he'll get a big head, but he truly is wonderful. And he's so kind and so gracious with his time and taking all the questions and answering them in such a thoughtful way. So again, John, if you're watching, it really means the world to me. And I appreciate everything so much. I'm excited for you guys to see this part. We really go into more Harry and Meghan stuff. And I just think you'll really get a kick out of it and find it really interesting. There's some wildlife stuff that happens, just all kinds of stuff. So check this out. Thank you so much for being here. And make sure you follow John on Instagram. He is Witherspoon DC on Instagram. So make sure you give him that follow if you're on Instagram. And let's encourage him to start up that channel because I want to see walks around DC. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for being here. Now let's get into part 2 of my sit down with John Witherspoon.
There used to be a TV ad by sort of an elder statesman of the Hollywood community, and the tagline of the comment was, "Confidence is very sexy, don't you think?" And it's totally true.
Mm-hmm.
Men and women, if you have confidence, and if you seem to have confidence, and you have this air of confidence around you, then you don't have to say 100 words when 5 will do. Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's great, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
That's all it takes.
And that suggests a more real bond with somebody because
Absolutely.
You're not selling it. It's just, I know I'm with her every day. I know I'm aware, something like that. Or I just know these things. Yeah.
Yes. So I think that, again, that's part of the subtle, dislikable, unlikable quality of Meghan in particular. I think if she would stop doing that, she'd do herself a great favor and just gosh, she struggles so hard to be real, and that is her, by far, her biggest flaw, is that she doesn't come across as real. And when you hear things,
tries, I think it's the less real she.
Yes, and when you hear about the real Meghan, invariably it's negative. She's a dictator in heels. That's the comment. She's a bully. She's this. All of these. Nobody ever has a truly heartfelt, kind narrative to share about her. And the same thing, to a certain extent, is true of Harry. He's got a temper. He's easily upset about things. He's not thoughtful. Just all of these things that. And again, I was going to make this point before when you're talking about, I think there's the picture of them getting out of the car in New York on this most recent trip, the Time 100 trip, or the bed. Who was it that called it the bedtime 100 trip?
Oh, I think it was Lean Mean Machine. Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yes.
Credit where it's due. That was really funny. Anyway, no, it's not that picture there. It's right as they're getting out of the car. Oh, by the way, since we're on the one you just showed there, the guy in the gray jacket, and everybody's jumping on this, holding his arms up. Crowd, stay back, stay back, stay back. No. And then you look around, it's like, oh, there's nobody there. Oh, never mind. Don't worry about it. No harm, no foul. No, they're getting out of the car, and he has this unhappy look on his face, and she's got her usual 10 out of 10 smile on. And it used to be that people called out when Harry had a pouty face on. Oh, look at that. What's wrong? Harry doesn't look very happy. Now what do we get? That's the norm. Oh, look at that. Harry's thrilled. Look at that. He's so happy. He's meeting this veteran, or he's playing a game with little kids somewhere. His happiness is now the exception rather than the rule. Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
It is for sure. Before we get off this topic, the other thing that just springs to mind, it's not exactly the same, but it just sticks with me is if you're lucky enough not to listen to the podcast, I've listened to every episode. Again, I'd like to talk to you about stealing from Ice Train, but I've listened to every episode. One of the episodes, she said, I think it was the second episode, she said she was relaying a story about motherhood. And it just read so false. And I think I even sent you, I may have recorded just like 30 seconds of it and sent it to you because it was something along the lines of how hard she's working and how hard it is. And Harry, she said something like, she wouldn't call him Harry. She said, my husband said, my love, go take a bath. And I just thought, what are we talking about? What is this? What is I don't know.
You know what's really interesting to me. I don't know if everybody had this experience, but I remember when I was in high school, maybe 9th or 10th grade, in English class, when we were being taught to write papers, and the teacher would always say, your argument will be more believable and will be stronger if you concede some things about whatever the topic is. I will just say this too. I know I've shouted out Cheer Denise, who's another Megs at YouTube, another creator who I really enjoy her content. If you have not checked out Cheer Denise, head over to her channel. She's always got something going. She's very smart and she's very insightful, and she's also very, very funny. So one of the things that she does that I think is fantastic is that she concedes when Meghan actually wears something that looks good on her, she will call that out.
Sure.
And not ridicule it and not make fun of it, and appropriately so. And I'm not, that's just an easy, quick and dirty example, but she does that on other things as well. But or when she says, I think these complaints XYZ about Meghan, I don't think those are warranted. I don't think those are fair. All that kind of thing. Anyway, my point of all of this is the same thing would be true for Meghan when she's asked about her kids, and she goes through, again, all the superlatives, all the over the top, all this stuff. She never even says so much as something along the lines of, sometimes they're really a handful. Mm-hmm. And, as every parent does, so I don't care how, no parent has ever gone through raising a child without wanting to just tear their hair out at some point in time. And I think any parent that's honest will admit that. And it's almost an endearing thing. And that's why I think it's unfortunate that Meghan never says, they're great. I love them to death. But the other day, they really pushed my buttons in a bad way. And everybody would kind of say, yeah, you go, Mom. We know what you're up against. And yes, of course you love them. And of course you would never do anything to harm them. But at the same time, the thought sure crosses your mind sometimes and you want to run screaming. Every parent in the world is that way. But
do you remember what I texted you the other day? I asked you legally, can I emancipate an 8-year-old?
Yeah, right. The Gosling.
Because I love my Gosling, but I was just like, oh my God.
Right.
It's just a real friendship talk. Like I asked.
Yes. And it can't even be, it doesn't even have to be anything.
I didn't tell you why. I just said she's bugging me.
Well, even stuff I hear mothers of young kids talk all the time about, oh my goodness, we got in the car the other day and we had to drive 45 minutes and so-and-so and so-and-so talked the entire time, ran their mouth, blah, 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 on and on and on about why is this? Why is that? Where do babies come from? Why is the sky blue? Why is the grass green? All the usual stuff that at the end of the day you think, I really love the kid and I'm so thrilled that they are intellectually curious and everything. But there's a time when I just I just,
Hope
please,
for
just,
laryngitis. Yeah.
yes, 5 minutes of peace and quiet. I can't wait. I hope there's hot water when I get home because I can't wait to get in the bathtub.
That's right.
We've all heard that, but you never really hear that from Meghan. And again, it just makes you scratch your head and say, is this person really talking about her mother or her experience, or is she just kind of
Right.
checking the boxes and oh, they're just the most brilliant, wonderful, every
Exactly.
superlative in the book.
It's like it's like a relationship. It's like any kind of relationship. If you only go, everything's roses and sunshine, you think, well, then it's not real, or it just
Yes.
means it's false. I mean, friendships have ups and downs, relationships, romantic partner, whatever it is, you're going to have good, bad, and ugly. So
Yes, and I mean, and you talk to your friends about, I had a conversation with somebody the other day. It's like, I still really love what's her name, but oh my gosh, I wanted to scream the other day because she did blah blah blah, and I just had that conversation with somebody about a very close friend the other day. I was like, I love her to death, but I just had to leave. I had to go for a walk.
yeah.
We've all had to go for a walk.
Yeah.
And they always say don't go to bed angry, and we've all done that too. And there's a time, it's like you get into bed with your significant other, and you know exactly right from the start. One person faces that wall, and the other person faces the other wall, and it's not. You don't even say goodnight. It's just we've
I
all
hope
we've
he's
all
back
been
in my
there.
head. He's
But
angry. Yeah.
yes, but if you never
Yeah.
even hint that, oh, Harry really, or my kids really,
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to get out of the car. I love him to death, but oh, I was so
That's
thrilled
right.
when we got to where we were going. I couldn't wait to get out of the grocery store. We've all
Absolutely,
been
but
there.
that's a real relationship. That's somebody you know and care about, and you'll bug each other. It's normal.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you sell it as sunshine and roses, it's like that. I'm not on Facebook, but that Facebook couple, it's like, oh, so and so hung the moon.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's like
Yeah.
they're the first ones at divorce or whatever, separate.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just think, oh, not them again. Great.
Yeah.
Talk about eye rolling.
If things are so great, you don't need to advertise it. That's just what I think. It goes back to,
Yes.
isn't she great? I would rather
Yeah.
somebody say, isn't she great? She's great.
Yeah. She's great, isn't she?
Exactly. Anyway, that's crazy. Let's see here. Oh, the other thing is again, maybe you could talk us through, I don't know how to segue into this. Motorcade. We've heard that term come up a lot. I make fun of
Oh yeah.
myself. I can't remember convoy or envoy, but now I know the difference. You beat it into my head. It's
Well,
envoy.
as I said a couple minutes ago, Jen, there's there's an SUV, a small SUV called an Envoy. So you can have an Envoy in your convoy.
Clearly, we need an envoy. No, a convoy of envoys.
Right.
Can I also
Right.
say a few minutes ago you said I look like Kim Basinger? I'd like to bring that back up again, please, if I can be made.
Oh, we not? Oh, do we need to? Okay. Well,
Best compliment ever.
you can put that again. The comments are open.
That's right.
So
Let me know. Jerry Hall, Kim Basinger. I keep getting Kate Blanchett lately. I'll take that. That's a huge compliment.
yeah.
Thank you. Oh, great. I'm Megan all the time.
So motorcade. You had a motorcade question?
I do. So, talk to me about. Oops, not that. Good Lord, hold on. Talk to me about motorcades. So we've heard a lot about it from Meghan's recent the two trips recently.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to the whole. It's like in the movie Wall Street, when Bud Fox, played by Charlie Sheen, gets upset with Gordon Gekko, played by
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas. Thank you. And he goes, how much is enough? How many yachts can you water ski behind? And there are a whole series of these things. And I look at these convoys, motorcades, and I just think, why? Why? At the Johnny Depp trial, Johnny Depp arrived at the courthouse every day in one Cadillac Escalade. And he left, yes, exactly, one Cadillac Escalade, which is a large luxury SUV for people outside the United States.
Not dog food? Just kidding.
Not what?
I said not dog food because of the Cadillac thing.
No, right. Not the dog food kind. Okay, no, it's a luxury. It's a large luxury SUV. It seats, depending how it's configured, it seats up to 7 people. He showed up in one of those every day, one vehicle. Mm-hmm. I would argue Johnny Depp is orders of magnitude more recognizable and a favorite of the fans and the paparazzi and everything else than Harry and Meghan could probably ever hope to be.
Absolutely.
And especially Meghan when she's traveling by herself. So and by the way, Amber Heard, to her credit, she arrived in one vehicle too. Credit where it's due. Her vehicle was a little strange. I've never seen this before. Just this is a fun fact. She was in a large Dodge pickup truck, a 4-door pickup truck, and it had curtains over the windows. Very strange. Never seen a pickup truck with curtains over the windows before. But anyway, this notion of Meghan having 4 vehicles in a motorcade or more, mm-hmm. and especially to go such a short distance as she apparently has, in the Washington area, you see a lot of motorcades, mm-hmm. or not even motorcades. You see a lot of dignitaries in nice vehicles. And invariably, what you see is you'll pull up to a traffic light, you'll see a vehicle that has a government, it's typically like a black Chevrolet Suburban or whatever, has a United States government license plate on it, and it's accompanied by one additional vehicle that has police lights on the roof. It's not marked up, it's very low key, and if you weren't really paying attention to the license plate and to the lights on the roof, you probably wouldn't even know. And yes, there's a good example. I was at an event yesterday. I just took this picture. This is not an actual motorcade vehicle, but this just gives you an idea. And the picture looks very strange because of the way I had to stand to take it. The vehicle is not bulbous at the front. It's actually straight down the sides. But this is a Ford Explorer type of a vehicle. It's a small SUV. It's got a United States government license plate on it. It's black. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the U.S. government license plate, which they're kind of easy to spot. They don't always have them. Sometimes you see them with regular, a civilian type of a license plate if they really want to be low key. But you see these vehicles and they stop at stoplights. They drive like any other vehicle. The only time they turn the police lights on is if, for instance, the front and the rear vehicle get separated at a yellow or a red signal and they want to keep moving, they'll turn the police lights on so they can both get through the intersection. But it's not this giant production. Mm-hmm. And you've got the dignitary up in the front vehicle. You've got security people in the back, maybe 2 or 3. And that's the end of it. It's not a giant, the idea is to get where you're going with as little muss and fuss and fanfare as possible, unless you're a foreign dignitary, for instance, in which case they pull out all the stops. And I'm sure people have seen the motorcades with 10 motorcycles in front and 3 or 4 lead cars, and then a limousine, and then another limousine, and then a support vehicle, all kinds of stuff. And normal people just don't do that. And normal protected trustees just don't do that. And I mean, and I'm very familiar with all this from not only living in the DC area, but also having worked in government and seen these, arrangements and so forth. The things that Meghan are doing, again, it's the same mindset, in my opinion, as this absurd overkill on the house that they live in with however, $17 million worth of house for 4 or maybe 5 people, if you include Doria and maybe a couple of,
Help.
nannies or servants or whatever. And the same thing with going around in $5,000 outfits and $100,000 worth of jewelry. And it's all part and parcel of the same thing. And it reminds me so much. There's a saying in the southwest part of the United States, in Texas, where they talk about people and they say, the saying is, big hat, no cattle. The point being that people who wear these giant cowboy hats that we've all seen, some people do that, and yet they never go out. The whole point of the hat is to protect you from the sun and the dust and the heat and everything else. Well, people wear these hats sometimes just to show that they act like they've got a fancy hat on. It's like the people who drive around in a very fancy BMW, very fancy Mercedes, whatever it is, and yet they live in a tiny little apartment because that's all they can afford. They've poured all of their money into a fancy car, and yet if you really looked behind the curtains and you saw who this person really is, you'd realize, to me, Meghan is, again, my opinion, she is a glorified version of the people that you see at the shopping mall on the weekend with Gucci written over in 3-inch letters across the front of their shirt or their jacket, and they've got on fancy, $1,000 sneakers from who knows what designer label. And you look at those people and you just think, what are you trying to prove? And I think the same thing about Meghan. I think a lot of people think the same thing about Meghan. Who are you trying to impress? None of the normal people find this impressive. No. This is, again, you are not, and I call this out all the time. Prince William and Princess Catherine drive around in Audis. That is a mid-range, luxury, affordable for a lot of people. It's more affordable than a Mercedes, more affordable than a lot of BMWs. And you can pay a lot for an Audi, but not the ones that William and Catherine drive. They're the same ones that you would see in the carpool line or the shopping center parking lot and so forth. When I see Harry and Meghan prancing around in these very, very over-the-top Range Rovers, I just think, again, who are you trying to impress? Everybody looks at that and they say, okay, that's nice, but what are you trying to prove? No one is really impressed by this except for very shallow people. Again, it gets back to what we were talking about, the whole Silence of the Lambs thing. Yeah, and it's just like everyone sees through this.
Well, it's always back to the shallow. There's never any depth there. Always.
Yes, and I've told the story about there's a Japanese restaurant where Jeff Bezos goes, and a friend of mine was there on a night when Jeff Bezos was there, and I said, "What did you see how he left?" And they said, "Yes." And I said, "What kind of car did he get?" He was in I think an E-Class Mercedes. And did he must the driver came? No, he drove himself.
Yeah.
Just finished his dinner, got in the car, and went to wherever he stays. Oh, well, he has a house. He's a big house here in Washington. But it's just like, what is the point? Nobody needs to be reminded. Elon Musk likes, he's guy's always walking around in a t-shirt, regardless of what you think of Elon Musk. I get it. A lot of people don't like Elon, but the guy walks around in a t-shirt with a sport coat on. To me, that's a little weird. If I was the world's richest guy, I might find something with a collar or but
Get some purple Ralph Lauren.
Yes, some purple label Ralph, exactly. But and by the way, I think the biggest tell that Meghan is not being dressed by a fashion house. I think she wanted to be dressed by Dior.
Mm-hmm.
If she was being dressed by Ralph Lauren or Ralph Lauren, I hear it pronounced both ways. If Ralph was dressing her, there's no way that she would look the way she looks, because they wouldn't put up with it.
I can't imagine that they're thrilled by that.
No. They probably appreciate having their name mentioned, and they probably appreciate, the palazzo pants as they're called, and her efforts to try and make those become hip again. But she just
sorry.
that's not the palazzo, the black palazzo pants. Yeah, those are the palazzo pants that she's walking on the bottom.
I don't think anybody appreciates this. You're being too kind. I think Ralph himself was probably crying into his cornflakes. Like, what is this? That's not how that's supposed to be worn. That's terrible.
No.
Where is the crotch in these things? Sorry to say crotch, but where is it?
Yeah, I think that's an unfortunate picture, because it looks like the crotch is down at her knees.
I don't think it's an unfortunate picture. I think it's an unfortunate situation.
Well, that too. I mean, it's a little bit unfair. I mean, a lot of people have made a big production about that one picture. It certainly looks weird. But here's the thing about it. There's a little bit better picture. Here's the thing about it, though. Why does she not think to herself, some people are just going to hate this. At a minimum, they're going to think it's weird. Some people are going to say, "Oh, that's cool. She's a trendsetter. She's breaking the mold, and she's doing interesting things with her clothing." But most people are going to say that's completely non-functional.
Yeah.
What I hope she looked at the weather report before she wore those pants out. Can you imagine if the sidewalk had been wet?
Oh, seriously.
She would have had a wet. The water would have gotten on those pants, or she would have had to walk around.
Do you see the stains?
Yeah, that's unfortunate as well. Again, you run risks when you try to do these types of things. Again, to go back to the lawyer, I would if she was in court, I would say, go find a pair of, I don't even know what. Ask the custodian if they have an extra pair of uniform pants in their locker that you can borrow, rather than wear that outfit. And court obviously tends to be conservative and so forth. But if I had a client that walked into court looking like that, I would have a serious conversation. It's the same way. You remember when, again, to talk about Johnny Depp, when he walked into court the first couple of days, he had his hair all down, and everybody commented on it. What was the next thing that happened? He had his hair up in a ponytail. Mm-hmm. Those things matter. Those things matter. They really do. And what do I want to say? The uptightness of how you dress in court does carry over to other places. If you know you're going to be photographed, if you know that you're going to be in front of other people, if you know there'll be TV cameras. Again, were she in the palace? I'm sure someone would have had things to say about the way that because she didn't look that way when she was in the palace.
Not that way, but still not.
Well, still not.
Yeah,
still not. She was not at her best.
Yeah.
That. Let's put it kindly and leave it at that. Clearly not at her best, and there are plenty of pictures, as you well know, Jen, from all the videos that you did, of her looking not at her best. But she never looked that much not at her best.
I don't know what that's about. Any other thoughts about the motorcade before we jump on to the next thing?
No, that was kind of it on the motorcade. It's just that the overkill, the over the top. It's such a conspicuous consumption, so desperate for attention.
Yes.
By the way, when she gets, I don't, it's going to be interesting. I know there's some people who are trying to dig into this as well by Freedom of Information Act requests and so forth. When she gets into an Escalade, I guarantee you that is not a government vehicle. That is not a police vehicle.
Mm.
If she is in a police vehicle, it's going to be a Ford Expedition, more than likely a Chevy Suburban or a Tahoe or something like that, because they just don't buy. When I see people, like we were talking about, you pull it up at a stoplight and you see two blacked out SUVs and one has a light bar on the roof. Those are not Cadillacs. Those are Chevrolet Suburbans, and that's a dead giveaway that it's not government sponsored or government supplied vehicles. When she's out and there are 3 or 4 Escalades in a group, that's not the police. That's her being getting on Uber 4 times and ordering up 4
That's what made me
Uber
start.
X vehicles. And
So
what?
the other day, that's why I started smiling like that, because I forgot we were messaging, planning this very conversation. You said, remind me to talk about Uber times 4. And I've never taken
Yeah.
Uber before. I'm behind the time, so I had no idea how that works. So I just didn't even think about, that's a hilarious thought that she's ordering 4 Ubers and that's her motorcade.
Yeah, well, it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible.
Sounds like it, yeah. It's just funny to me. Well, I'm looking forward to one day going to DC. You can show me around, do a walk for your featured channel or something. And when I do,
Sure.
I expect a 4-car motorcade. So just be advised. I will only travel in 4 cars.
Yeah. We'll work on that.
Yeah.
You have to sign up for an account. I'm not calling 4 Ubers for you. You can call 4 Ubers if you want, but I'm not paying for it. Sorry.
Darn it, what kind of host are you? I'm not coming.
Yeah.
That's funny. As we wrap this up, you had some strong opinions on something. I just want to play it in the background here. I can't play the music, but well, you and I both did. John, when's the last time you hid in your bushes with no shoes on and were chasing wildlife around for attention? Yesterday? Day before?
Yet again, the word performative comes to mind. Must be trotted out.
Yeah.
Again, she's her own worst enemy. What in the world is she wearing?
I don't know.
Why is she standing in the bushes?
Why is she barefoot? I don't know.
And why is she acting giddy, like again, like she acts like she's at a 8th grade birthday party or an 8th grade sleepover, and giggling and clapping, and she again, she's her own worst enemy. Why she does not look like a woman of 40, what is it, 44 years, whatever it is.
I think so.
She just looks so odd. I just can't describe it any other way. And I think people are, and again, it's a multifaceted issue.
Mm-hmm.
Not only why would you allow yourself to appear that way, why would you post that? She had 2 opportunities not to mess it up, and she messed up both. It's kind of remarkable. It really is. And if this is what her sense of marketing savvy is, who does that appeal to? That does not look like a grown woman for the most part. No. It just looks it looks so odd, and it looks so
forced, I think.
It's either forced or this is somebody that doesn't look like they're in control of their emotions or something. I mean, it's just I can't. I'm trying to describe something that nobody needs me to describe this. Everybody gets it.
Yeah.
It's so odd in so many ways, and yet there's this, and then she purports to be the CEO of what she wants to spin up into $1 billion brand.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much weirdness about this to me. My theory is that she does this a lot. To me, I equate this with the red carpet behavior. What grown woman or grown anybody grabs the hand of their friend on a red carpet and is posing like a teenage girl? I find that so bizarre,
Yes,
and all I can
yes,
think of is
and the little coy. We're on the
yes,
red.
yeah, it's so weird.
Right, right,
It's such.
and you know, and
I think it's
the
her
super.
attempt to appear youthful, is my guess.
Well, you know, and I've heard you mention that, and you might be right. But the thing that's so odd about it is that on other occasions, she knows and has been well schooled in the whole routine of how to take your picture, how to get your picture taken by the photographers when you're at an event with a red carpet. You know, first you stand this way, and then you shift a little bit. And then, you know, the whole modeling thing, we've all seen it. And then, oh, someone's calling me, Meghan, look this way. You know, we've all seen that. And yet on other occasions, and she looks very professional. I mean, she does a great job of it. But on other occasions,
it's a mess. That
it's
red
just
dress holding
an
her
absolute mess.
next to her cash and prizes area. It's just a weird, yeah, it's just
Yes.
a weird thing to do.
Yes. It's very strange. Very strange.
Next time
And
you're hanging
again,
out with one of your buddies and you guys take a photo, I want you to just be coquettish with them.
yes, coquettish is exactly the right word. And she's so desperate to get it right, and yet so many times she gets it wrong. And she's capable of getting it right, at least as far as the red carpet is concerned. I'm not so convinced about all these other things. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't.
But on the subject of wildlife, let me show one more time. Hold on.
Oh, do you have those? Okay.
I do, but yeah, so here's her reaction to ducks. And again, they're ducks. Dare I say my Gosling single digits wouldn't react like this. She'd be like, oh cool, hey mom, look, ducks,
Yes. Exactly right.
It wouldn't
Exactly
be
right.
this frenzied manic state of
You
this.
know what she looks like in that she looks like she's do they still sell Calgon bath soap? There used to be a brand of bath soap, bath salts, whatever, if you want to go soak in the tub, called Calgon. And I think the tagline was Calgon, take me away. Mm-hmm. And it was always, this would have been, when the woman goes into the dream state and she's totally relaxed, she's got her hair up in a bun and the bubbles are all over the room. And this would be the dream state where she's in a white dress and she's walking through the forest, and it's like, no, this is not the dream state. This is this is reality TV here.
Yeah.
Anyway, again, put it in the comments.
Yeah, put it in the comments. But this was interesting. And then you said, well, so tell me, John, hold on. I've got it here. Let me find it. It's right here. So tell me about this.
Oh.
Talk to me about this. And when's the last time you went screaming and hiding in the bushes? Yeah.
That was just a picture. I looked out the window one day and those two characters were posing nicely around that tree. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, that'd be a cool picture. So I just took that picture, and I didn't. I showed it to a couple of people. I was like, look at these. You don't see this every day. Mm-hmm. But this is just in the woods on the property, and I just thought, okay, that's a cool picture, but I didn't hop up and down, and I didn't, and I even when I showed that to other people, nobody, everybody's like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's
Really
kind of
cool
cool.
picture. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what did you nickname the?
I named them Owl Capone and Featherface instead of Scarface. So yeah.
Right, right. And I think that's a him and her. I'm not sure. I know I researched this at one point. You would think it's the guy on the left, the male on the left. I'm not sure that's the case. I think I think the women owls, the female owls, I think are larger. Again, in the comments, if you know. But anyway, yeah, I just thought that was a cool picture, and it just when I saw that thing with Megan, I just emailed you and I said, check this out. Yeah, there they are again. They were I think they were buddies. That's for sure. They always were, never far apart.
They're
But
spooning.
all right, if you must.
They are. They're like hugging. It's cute.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
naming them Hootie and Blowfish. I think it's cute.
Listen, let me tell you something. They hoot.
Okay.
These are what they call barred owls. I believe it's Barred. The reason that they're called that is because their feathers have that sort of horizontal bar pattern on them. That's where that comes from. A lot of people get them confused with barn owls. They're not barn owls. They're barred owls.
Oh. I thought you meant bard as in Shakespeare. I was going to start saying sonnets to them.
Yeah, there you go. As the bard would tell us.
That's right. Those are the coolest pictures.
Yeah, they're really fascinating. I think more fascinating than ducks.
Yes.
That's the other thing about the ducks. I just have to say, does Meghan not have TikTok? Or just because I have TikTok. The only reason I have it is because I go on there once in a while. If somebody says, oh, you've got to see this on TikTok. Well, if you don't have TikTok, then you can't see it for the most part. But anyway, when I do go on TikTok, TikTok is loaded with ducks following their mom, or puppies, kittens with their mom. We've all seen a million of them, and I think I sent you a duck picture as well.
I think so.
If you have that, but it's kind of like,
I can't.
Okay, here's another. It's a duck on the property.
That's right.
Okay, that's cool. I'll take a picture, but not really going to jump up and down and make a big production about it.
Here we go. Let's see. It's a lovely duck. I meant to pull the duck. There you go.
Oh yeah, there's the duck. Yeah, it's very cool.
There's a goose right here. You're not reacting like this. Don't hide my bushes.
This is true. This is true.
Don't hide my bushes and chase me around.
Yeah. Well, and as you said, especially in bare feet, like I don't step outside in bare feet unless I know exactly where I am, and it sure doesn't include the bushes on the side of the access road. Or no, I'm not going in there with bare feet.
What are on your feet instead?
When I go in the bushes, usually I put boots on. Thank you.
What occasion would you wear Crocs? Asking for a friend.
If the house was on fire.
Okay, fair enough.
That's about it. And even then, I might think twice.
Here's another of your. Do you live in a zoo?
What is that? Oh, that one's hard to see. I don't know if you can. Yeah, that's just there's a creek on the property, and all kinds of things just kind of hang out there. I don't even know what that is. It's one of those birds that walks along very.
What you're saying?
Yeah, it walks along very deliberately, and then it sees a little something, a little squirmy in the water, and that's the end of the little squirming thing.
I'm sorry, one more time for everybody else. What does it do again?
You heard me.
I missed it. One more time. What was it?
You know what a little squirmy thing is in a creek? Come on now.
Oh, do I? Okay, hold on. Wait for it. Wait for it. Hold on. One more time. What was it again?
It's been nice talking with you, Jen. I've had a nice time.
You got to do anybody else's show besides mine, right? That's funny.
Right, exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and then as we wrap this up, there was one more thing I just thought of. What's the story on this?
David Byrne. What a guy.
Uh-huh.
What a guy. David Byrne was the lead singer of a, for people who don't know, was a very popular band in the 80s called the Talking Heads. I can almost guarantee you've heard their music, even if you didn't recognize it.
Was it Psycho Killer? I think
Psycho Killer, Take Me to the River, Slippery People. Really, really good songs from the 1980s. And one of his trademarks, there was a famous concert tour that they did, or it's a concert video called Stop Making Sense. And it's actually really clever. They start out with only certain members of the band on stage. And as the concert progresses, more and more members of the band come out on stage. And one of his trademarks during this time period was to wear these giant, giant suits. You can see there, the shoulders on that are very oversized. The sleeves are too long. The pants are incredibly baggy. But it became sort of a running joke and a trademark in the 80s that it was the David Byrne, Byrn, I believe, maybe an E on the end, the giant suit. And he became very well known for that. And so if you grew up in the 80s, or you spent any time, if you were alive in the 80s, you don't even have to have grown up in the 80s. If you're alive in the 80s and you're paying attention to pop music, you definitely saw the Talking Heads. And especially, this was back in the day when MTV actually played music videos. I know that's a shock to some people that they actually used to have music on music television, but that was the Talking Heads Stop Making Sense concert video, and the individual songs were all very popular on MTV. So check out David Byrne, read up on him. There'll be a quiz.
Leave us comments. But yeah, so what I wonder what would have made you think of something like this? Interesting.
Well, something jogged my memory.
Yeah, clearly.
But here's the other thing about it, though. David Byrne was trying to look ridiculous, as you do.
He was in on the joke.
As Mick Jagger does, as
Elton John, over the top.
Elton John. I mean, yeah, he wrote the book, right? So what? Words fail me. They really do. Why? Why?
Yeah.
And as Jen, as you and I have talked about so many times, it's like, what is the purpose of clothing? First of all, it's to keep you from being arrested for indecent exposure, but it's also, there's a functional. I'm cold, or I don't want to get sunburned, or whatever it is. This is why and again, I'm sounding like I'm talking to 2-year-olds, but somehow this message gets lost. The purpose of clothing, and it's very functional at its core. Again, sorry for talking like a preschool teacher. It's very functional at its core, but yeah, you can style it up a little bit, and you can have a little pizzazz. It's why women wear earrings. It's why men wear neckties. It's this is not a secret to anyone, except maybe. Why would you wear pants to Meghan? Why would you wear pants that you're actually walking on the fabric, stepping on your own pants as you're walking on the sidewalk? It just cannot be explained.
Nope.
And it's beyond the scope of, I'm wearing a giant suit because I'm performing in a rock concert, or I'm wearing glasses like Elton John with windshield wipers on them because I'm in a rock. Okay, everybody gets it.
Mhm.
But then you get guys like, Simply Red, Mick.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Oh, I can picture him. I don't know his name. Yeah.
yeah, and I think he's really good, by the way. But there's a whole concert series. I know it's taped in Amsterdam. Not a concert series. There's a concert where it's taped in Amsterdam. Amsterdam. He sings the entire concert. He's wearing a tuxedo.
Mm.
He can wear anything he wants, and he's done other concerts where his hair is all over the place and he's, just dressed in a t-shirt and jeans. But again, there's a time and a place for looking wild and silly and doing what you want. If I went to see the Rolling Stones, and I hope to see them again someday, God willing, although I think, it's a miracle that I've seen them as many times as I have. But if I went to see the Rolling Stones and Mick Jagger was not wearing something interesting, I would be bitterly disappointed.
Oh,
You
yeah. What if he
know?
just came out in t-shirt and jeans? You're like, oh,
Right. Mick, what's up? Come
yeah.
on now.
It's
If he wasn't wearing green leather pants, or who knows? And if Keith Richards didn't smoke the entire concert, I would be bitterly disappointed. It's what you go there to see.
right.
So again, there's a time and a place, and you don't even need a courtier or a guy in gray suits or whoever it is at the palace to tell you, to inform you, this is appropriate here, this is appropriate there. I get it. You want people to talk, but people never hesitate to talk about William and Catherine driving
Right.
in their Audi. William wears polo shirts all the time, by which I mean polo with the horse.
Right. Absolutely.
Um, and and Catherine always looks radiant, no matter what. Catherine could put on yoga pants. She can put on the beige suit that has been used to compare and contrast to Meghan, and she looks fabulous. Universally, she looks fabulous in jeans and white trainers, as they call them in the UK.
Well, she's always polished. It's never messy. It's always perfectly fitted, tailored to, I mean, just everything and thoughtful details in place. So I think that shows through. There's,
Well, it's just another manifestation of class.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
class in the way she acts, in the way that she attires herself, and in the way that she treats other people. And again, back to Silence of the Lambs, you look like you're good nutrition has given you some length of bone, but you look like you're one generation removed from poor trailer trash, and you look like a rube. You've got some fancy clothes on, but you don't know how to wear them.
Because I feel like you pointed that at me before.
I would never point that at you, Jen. Come on. Never. You look radiant in olive today.
Thank you. Well,
Radiant.
so do you. Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
both, I can't help but laugh because the last time, do you recall, we did the same thing. We both wore white. We never talk about what we're gonna wear, so we both showed up to white. And then today I was like, wait a second, I've never worn olive in my life. I don't own anything olive until this first time wearing it.
The best laid plans.
It's just more evidence that you're hiding in the bushes, and I think it's weird now.
I'll give you great credit, though, Jen. I give you great credit. When you saw that I had a jacket on that was olive, you did not go and change. I know people
Oh,
who, if they had come on and had seen me wearing something that was a close color, they would have run and changed their outfits. I have seen it happen more than once. More than once.
that's fun. No, it's fine. I just think it's really funny. I think it's
I
funny.
won't. I
don't
won't.
know. Oh, please.
I won't reveal names or genders of the people involved. But
Does it rhyme with Smith, the Smalter Smurd?
no,
It's nothing against her. I was just picking anybody you normally collab with. Does it rhyme with Smandy? Smock porn sman
And
it.
no, 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 no,
Just
no,
kidding.
no. I'm just saying it's when I have seen that, it's been in a group of women, and
Oh.
a woman will come out and she sees that somebody else is wearing something. I mean, this is a true story. Like I said, I've seen it several times. A woman will come out, she'll arrive for an event, or arrive at an area where everybody's going to meet to get in a car to go somewhere, and she sees that somebody else is wearing the same things that, or something very similar to what she has on, and wait a minute, can you give me 5 minutes? Run back inside, put on a different outfit.
That's
It happens.
wild.
Look, I can sort of understand it. If you want to look, especially like if you're going to a bar
Uh-huh.
and you want to meet people and you want to kind of look unique, look, I can understand it. But I've seen other people do it in instances where it's like, you went where to do what and why? You had to change clothes. Did you spill something? Did you lose a button?
I'd
No,
rather
I just
dazzle them with my personality than worry about if I'm dressed
yes,
the same as somebody else, so
right, right.
yeah. I'm not afraid somebody won't be able to tell us apart.
Yeah, right, right, exactly. That's so funny. That's great.
Well, thank you, John, for being here. I appreciate it so much. Any other thoughts
Yeah.
on the dastardly duo? I mean, are you
Well,
sick
I
of
do.
me
I
yet?
do
Can
actually
I
have one other
come back
thing.
to talk about them more? Uh-huh.
Yeah. I do. I have one sort of closing thought, and it's kind of I hate to end on a downer, but people ask me all the time. People say, "Oh, I've seen you on YouTube and talking with Jen and Kinsey and everybody else," and they say, you seem to have paid attention about Harry and Meghan.
Mhm.
What is not your legal opinion, but what's your armchair opinion about the long term of Harry and Meghan? And I always have to think carefully,
Mhm.
but I have to say I I, I don't think the signs are positive for the two of them. I don't think the signs are positive for either of them individually, for all the reasons that everybody is so well aware of. Harry has effectively ruined his life with his family. There's nothing more important in the entire world than your family.
Mhm.
I know some people who don't have a family, or I think I've talked about, I have a good friend who was adopted.
Mhm.
She talks, when you really get her going, she talks about, I wish I knew my birth parents, but I'm so grateful to have been brought up in a loving household where I had adoptive parents. I had an adopted brother. I have adopted cousins. Nothing is more important than that. And for people who don't have it, it's unfortunate. For people who actively do things, whether they intend it or not, but for people who do things that ruin their familial relationships, it is tragic, absolutely tragic. It's tragic for the two of them. They've both done it. They're doing it to their children as well, which is beyond tragic. You could even apply other terms to it.
Mhm.
Um, I don't see either of them. Maybe Harry, if he apologized at some point and laid low for a period of probably 5 years at a minimum, was completely out of the spotlight, he might be able to recover as a member of the British royal family, or even as a valued member of the 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 Commonwealth, to be seen as someone who is a statesman. He might be able to pull that off. Meghan, I don't think, will ever be able to pull that off, with the possible exception of a small group of people who really don't care how she behaves, and they don't care what she says, and they don't care what she does. I think there will always be a core of people who appreciate the fact that she seems to revel in tearing things down, like, again, her familial relationships, her relationship with the British royal family, all of that stuff. She seems, again, this is all just impression and opinion, but she seems to like to light fires to things and burn things down when it comes to relationships and institutions that she might have been associated with. I don't see a good future for her. Quite frankly, I hope that something happens that Archie and Lilibet don't follow their parents down the same path of misery. But and I think all of this will come along sooner than later. I think it's only a matter of time. I think Meghan is in a mode of desperation at this point. Harry is in a mode of confusion that he's never been in before. Again, back to the conversation about the norm for him now seems to be unhappiness. And when he does actually smile, that's the exception rather than the rule. And I think at a minimum, this is going to come to a head with moving vans, and it might conceivably come to a head with public safety vehicles making a visit to Montecito at some point because of some problem that has cropped up. And I think even King Charles has said that one of his greatest fears is that Harry will end up so angry and frustrated with the world that something bad happens, that he's a well-established, he's very familiar with pumping himself full of stuff that most people wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. And he's talked about it in the book, and mushrooms and who knows what else. So I use the word tragic over and over again, and that's where I think it's where it ends.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, that's a big old bummer.
I told you right from the start. I was like, I hate to end on a, but I think it has to be addressed. I think it has to be addressed, and I think, I quite frankly, I think, again, if I could go against my better judgment and try to get inside the king's head, I think King Charles probably hopes against hope that Harry will figure this out and will take some steps to repair his relationship with his brother and his father while there's still time. The king is on borrowed time. I mean, that sounds harsh, but I think there's no getting around that. The man is ill, and he's old. And if Harry were really intelligent, I think he would do that, because I think it would be a good segue into attempting, whether it would be received or not, attempting to repair a relationship with his brother. But like I said, I think the king has a genuine concern about Harry. I think that's one of the reasons why he's left the door open, because I think if the king closed the door, I think he understands that it would make Harry's situation even more dire.
Yeah.
But as far as Meghan is concerned, there's that I think, as I sometimes like to say, that train has sailed. As far as Meghan is, as far as and I hope that they both figure out a way to have sufficient, this will sound crazy to some people, I hope that they end up having sufficient funds to survive in some way, shape, or form. That sounds like a crazy, how in the world can they, again, for the umpteenth time to talk about Johnny Depp. Oh, Johnny Depp, the guy's got bazillions and bazillions of dollars. The night that he missed Amber Heard's birthday party and she got so upset with him and did what she did in the bed, Where was Johnny Depp? He was getting a very unpleasant message from his finance and accounting people telling him, you are running out of money. You have to stop. And it's so important, and it's such a problem that we're going to deliver this message on the night of your wife's birthday party. Would not surprise me at all. I have no inside knowledge, but if it can happen to Johnny Depp, it can happen to Meghan and Harry. That's all I'll say about that.
Sure. I just get so irritated because I think about all the opportunities they've pissed away. Like opportunities you or I would kill for. I'm not trying to be famous, but just I don't know, ways to make money that I could never
Yes.
I could work my whole life and never have an option to do.
Well, and sometimes you see celebrities doing these infomercials, like Tom Selleck, who you would think has all the money in the world. Yeah. Why is he doing commercials on television for reverse mortgages? Doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would step up and do that. William Devane, always talking about buying gold. Tom Bosley, who was the dad on Happy Days on the TV show, he ended up in some really wacky TV ads for some products that ultimately they were basically get-rich-quick schemes. And so it's entirely conceivable that people that you would think would have a lot of money would, at a minimum, and this is what I hope Harry and Meghan have done, in spite of their ridiculous, conspicuous consumption, I would hope that they have socked away $10 million or whatever amount, that they, if push comes to shove, they can say, this is the line. We're not going to touch that. We're saving that for our kids' education. We're saving that for a rainy day. We might have to move out of Montecito, but we're still going to have a nest egg that's been invested properly in the stock market or the bond market or whatever it is, hopefully not in Bitcoin. But, you know, I hope someone has been advising them. I hope someone has been advising Harry. We've talked before. He got an inheritance from his mother. He got a lump sum inheritance, I believe, from the Queen Mother when he turned 40. I hope someone advised him. My understanding of the law is that if he put that in a joint account and their marriage has to be ended, she would be entitled to half. If he's put it in an account that is only for him, it's not treated as marital income. I believe it's only treated as his income, so he would get to keep the whole thing. If he has not messed that stuff up, and if he has been halfway thoughtful about his expenses on private jets and clothes, and they're paying enormous, I think they're paying well into six figures on property taxes on their place in Montecito every year, to say nothing of upkeep, security, utilities, heating and cooling, water. I'm sure they have irrigation, all of that stuff. It's gotta just be insane amounts of money that they're burning through. And I hope they've got their act together. I really do. Because I know I don't want to see Meghan or Harry in infomercials or on QVC.
Fair enough. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well,
although Meghan, some people have argued that Meghan's been close.
Yeah, that's true.
With her, what did Lady C call her raspberry spread? She called it raspberry sputum. Raspberry sputum. And I thought, really? Ew. If you don't know what the word sputum is, go on Google.
No,
it's on there.
Don't Google it. Don't Google it. Oh, it's gross. It's phlegm, basically, right?
Yes. Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Yeah. Or some people call it sputum. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, I've heard both pronunciations. Depends who you ask.
Well, the other pronunciation is wrong. Oh, goodness. Well, John, as always, it's been so much fun to have you here.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
You are welcome.
I'm definitely going to be bugging you to come back very soon.
Okay.
On a side note, I you and I are friends offline, and we've talked about I'm working on this other channel, and part of it is health and fitness, and just not giving advice, but more of just what's worked for me, what's worked for other people. And I know that's something that's important to you. So if you feel like it, sometime I'll have you on there as well to talk about. I know you've
Oh,
worked with some pretty incredible people that in that field of health and
yeah, I have, and I'd be delighted to come on. I'm not in any way, shape, or form an expert. And by the way, while I have the opportunity,
yeah,
your experience is absolutely remarkable.
Thank
It
you.
really is. It is entirely inspirational.
Oh, thank you.
There are people who have accomplished less in terms of getting back to health and getting back to a good weight. There are people who have accomplished far less than you have, who have starred in TV shows, reality shows about their experience. And I can't give you enough credit
Thank you.
for what you've accomplished, and especially share. I know you've shared some pictures that are, but I'll say what I've
Dramatic.
said about Meghan. On occasions when you were not at your best,
Yeah.
not at your best, and you, I think, have probably radically inspired some people
Aw,
who feel about themselves the way that you did and have threatened to do something about it, and for one reason or another have not gotten started, or they've tried and they haven't succeeded. I just can't say enough about what you've been through and what
thank
you've accomplished.
you.
You should be very proud. And I know people have commented and given you a lot of support, which is fantastic. But yes, to answer your question, I'd be happy to come on sometime. I do have some thoughts, but I'm nowhere near as equipped to talk as you are. But we happy to chat.
No, I think it'd be interesting to have a lot of different takes on things, because what worked for me may not work for somebody else. And you might have tips I hadn't thought of. I mean, again, friendly behind the scenes, you've told me things. I'm like, oh, that's a good way to think about it. And so
Yeah, yeah.
thank you for your kind words, though. That truly means a lot to me. It really does. Thank you. But I'd love to have you back on there as well. But
Excuse me.
that's
I've got some raspberry spread. Sorry.
you saw some ducks and you kind of forgot how to
Yes,
swallow correctly.
exactly.
But
Look.
yeah. Wait, you gotta. Oh, okay.
Not doing that. Sorry.
Take off your shoes and put on a white dress. Oh my God, what am I saying? Okay, truly, what I was saying is thank you for your kind words. That means the world to me. I'd love to have you on. I'm definitely going to have you back here as well to talk more Harry and Meghan as they do crazy things. You keep me sane in all this. Hey, if you ever really want to get a punishment, maybe I just sat down with Taj, as Dan Wooten calls her, Taz, and we listened to
No, you're leaving part of it out. Dan says internet sensation, and my imitation is bad, but internet sensation, according to Taj.
Oh, there you go, Taj. Well,
Taj.
Taj and I sat down. We listened to an episode of the podcast and reacted to it. So if you ever really feel like a punishment, maybe you could listen to an episode and we'll have some sort of reaction to it if you're up for it. Just because I feel like doling out some punishment. I don't know. You just said some really kind, lovely things to me, so might as well punish you for it. I'm Meghan.
Yes, no good deed goes unpunished.
That's right. But if you're ever up for that, you let me know and we'll take a listen and see how far into it we can make it.
Right. Well, or we could make a. There's got to be some drinking games in there somewhere.
Don't act silly enough sober. You are.
Right. There's got to be a Meghan's podcast bingo card. By the way, just one other thing. I just saw something. I think it was at the Time 100. When she was the tranche of skews talk. Yeah. She talked about Chef Jose Andres.
Yes, she did.
From World Central Kitchen, and she mentioned that he's going to be one of the people that she has on the Netflix on the so-called second season of the
With
Netflix show.
Meghan. Yes.
And I will bet money that his appearance is going to be part of the Palisades fires when
Oh.
Meghan and Harry were down there on the fire ground,
Mhm.
and she had the LA Dodgers hat on, and they were traipsing around and
Mhm.
doing whatever they were doing and hugging the full body hug. But I'd be willing to bet, and that I'd be also willing to bet that we'll never know. But I'd be willing to bet that that's why season two,
Mhm.
before somebody comments, yes, I get it. It was already done. But I bet it's been edited to include video of them down in the palace at the Palisades fire ground with the World Central Kitchen people and Chef Andres.
I bet you're right. And if and when that happens, I'm having you back to say, "Hey, remember all those months ago I called this?" So get ready.
Yep,
I bet you're right. I think yeah, I almost said you're spot on, but I've been told I say that too much. So I'm trying to think. You're bang on, John.
spot off.
That's right. John, the last question I do have to ask you because I get punished in my comments if I don't. When are you gonna start
Yes,
a channel? When are you gonna start a
it's
channel?
it's in the works. I'm being very Meghan-esque about it. I don't want people snooping,
Oh,
so I'm.
but you're
It
also
might
not.
it might be farther along than you think.
Dun dun dun. Well, you're also not being Megan because if you're Megan, you would launch it with zero thought, just announce it immediately, and just never follow through.
This is true. This is true.
I'm
But
calling it what's something that's already taken Travelocity, and it's like that's already
yeah,
a thing. You did no research.
yeah,
No, you're
right.
calling it
Perfect.
Johnson
That's a great example.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll call it.
That
I'm
was
going to
off the
call it
top of my head.
Google or
Perfect. Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, good year. I don't know.
Yes, exactly. Michelin, Goodyear.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Just go ahead and buy a bunch of crap that says that on there and just see how that goes.
Yeah, right, right. See if the telephone rings.
That's
Excuse
right.
me. Hi, I'm with
I think that
the.
the flock came up with Jaunts with John, which I thought was pretty good.
That is pretty good.
And
That is
then if
pretty
I
good.
ever join you on one of your jaunts, it'd be jaunts with Jen and John. Huh? There you go.
Very nice. That could work. Yes. I
Very
will
nice.
never be as creative as you with your titles or with um your down in the corner. I haven't even tried. Yes.
You take yours very, very seriously. You have your Esquire there and everything. I see it.
Hey, I worked really hard for my Esquire, so don't knock it.
I'm
You
not
know.
knocking it. You've earned it. I made mine up in about 3 seconds right before we hit record. So those are my qualifications. And I will say, this is gonna embarrass you, but one of the lovely flockers has taken to calling you Quiver Spoon. So you could have named yourself that. You chose
I
not to.
saw that. I saw that. Yes. Yes.
Hi, Colton Cake. Yeah.
Yeah, she's out there.
Yeah,
She's
that's
out there.
right. She might be watching you like Megan's watching those ducks.
What's the song? I always feel like somebody's watching me.
That is the song.
And you know who sings? You know who sings backup on that in the background vocals on what is the guy's name? Is it who's the singer? Who's the lead singer on that song?
I don't remember. I just know the songs. I sing it to my Gosling. Ever
Oh,
since she
okay,
was a toddler,
okay.
she used to
Well,
stare at me, so I'd sing that
the
song.
the person singing in the background on that is Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go.
Some people know that. That's not such a big secret, but
No,
it's hard to miss when you listen to it.
let me try that again. I'm shocked by this new information.
Right, right. Yeah, hands over your ears. Come on.
Now I feel like
Yeah,
Home Alone. That Home Alone
yeah.
kid, right?
And you have to bounce up and down.
I do that on my OnlyFans. That's really none of your business. I couldn't resist. All right, John, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Anytime. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank
As
you.
always, yes, I can't wait to pester you again soon, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah. Bye. Everything's a big wave, and yeah, that's right. What
Head
happens?
tilt.
Do your eyes squint when you smile, or is it just me?
I think that's just you.
Oh, fine. All right. Bye.